Friend of mine sent me a clip today, and it was a clip of the inventor of real dolls, the sort of lifelike looking sex dolls. I don't think that they're lifelike. They're better looking than the blow-up dolls that they had, but I couldn't do one of those either. I mean, honestly, like, come on. I find it sort of fascinating that somebody would do that. A real doll, I think, costs thousands of dollars, right? And which would you rather have? You would rather have the real doll. You're going to spend $5,000 on this kind of like mannequin looking thing, and you're going to do that, or you could use that money and get a prostitute. You could get a bunch of prostitutes. I mean, for $5,000, you could get a total piece of ass. I don't even think a total piece of ass costs that. I think that it's about $1,500 for the night. To get a real nice looking escort, $1,200, something like that. I don't know. I've never done anything like that. But even if you would think that even if you wanted to do $50 hookers, you would have, for $5,000, you could have what, $150 hookers? That would be better than doing a mannequin. That's all those things are mannequins. I honestly don't get it. And I don't get that the blow-up dolls, like anybody ever really did one of those. But then, like, see, I'm sort of naive, I think. I'm really, white bread. I'm really white bread. Sexually, I just like, I don't, I consider myself sort of normal. I'm not really into anything real weird. But I mean, what's weird? You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody that does a blow-up doll might think that I'm weird because I'm not interested in the blow-up doll. But I'm not interested in doing plastic, And speaking of that, I do have a story. When I was in Kansas City in the 80s, I was hanging around with two other artist friends of mine. And the one artist friend of mine, we went up to go to our one friend's studio. And we went in the studio and we were just hanging out smoking weed or something. I can't really remember. And then all of a sudden my friend that went up to the art studio, our friend's art studio with, picks something up and says, "Oh, you have one of these." And our friend with the art studio grabbed it and put it away and kind of laughed or something and said, "Yeah." And I saw what it was, and it was an AccuJack. And he said, well, his wife's name, I'm not going to say her name. We were buying toys for her, and she insisted that I buy this. But the AccuJack, if you don't know what an AccuJack is, it's like a plastic tube with a suction pump thing in it. It supposedly is supposed to make the ween bigger too, which I'm sure is probably not true. But it's like a clear plastic, and there was condensation on the inside. I noticed. I was repulsed and sort of freaked out that I actually was friends with somebody that would use an AccuJack. And I told my girlfriend at the time, who was she's a psychologist, and she's much more liberal as far as like human behavior goes than me. She is. That's just how she is. She didn't really see it as that, abnormal. And she said she made some comment like, well, maybe his hands are too small to jerk it. I was still friends with the guy. I'm friends with people that are much more adventurous than me. I mean, there's trolls that come to the page and they'll say stuff like, like call me gay or something. I'm not gay. But if I was, I wouldn't care. I'd just say that I was. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I have friends that are gay. I don't give a shit. I don't care what my friends are doing. I don't care what two adults or three adults. I don't care if it's whatever. As long as it's an adults and they're consenting, what do I care what they do in, behind closed doors? It's none of my business. But the fact that, like, I have a friend that wants to fuck, a plastic AccuJack pump, that was sort of weird. That's sort of like on the same line, or, it's like somebody that would, like, do a watermelon. I've made plenty of jokes about doing watermelons. That's why I'm thinking about this, is because my friend sent me the robot, and also somebody asked me about this right here. That's an animatronic piece that's wrapped for storage, right? It's got plastic around it, but that's an animatronic piece of Donald Trump, a likeness of Donald Trump fucking a watermelon. It's an aberrant behavior, of course, to do a watermelon. And, I can't imagine anybody that would actually do a watermelon. I can't. But, then I remember a Howard Stern show one time where they had a guy on there that was talking about doing it, and it sounded so fucking real. But that was because the guy, he didn't have arms. So he was just trying to jerk it, and the only way that he could do that, and then he had like this whole description of like how he would cut a hole in the watermelon. He could use his feet and like, put a knife in there and cut a hole. It sounded like it was real. That's sort of like, I feel for the guy. But once again, like if you're going to do a watermelon because you don't have arms, the watermelon costs, say you spend $10 on a watermelon or something. Why don't you just not buy 5 watermelons and get a 50 cent, or 50 cent, but a $50 prostitute? I see. It boggles my mind that somebody would rather do an inanimate object than a human being. What's up with that? Those real dolls, you look at those things, and I don't think that the technology has improved that much. Like, I think about like artists that do real looking human sculptures like Dwayne Hanson. Those things look really fucking good. But then I look at the real doll, the real dolls, they look like mannequins with just like kind of like latex skin or something. That's not anything I could pop a Woody on and start, hey, would you guys leave? I want to do my rubber mannequin here. I'm not attracted to that. It's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want it to be a woman. I don't want it to be a likeness of a woman. It's freaking bizarre. It is. It's totally bizarre that people do this shit. The one thing that I'll say is, you watch this stuff. Everybody sees this on the internet. Like it's a big story. Sex robots. They're working on them in Japan. They've been working on sex robots in Japan, since the 1950s. They were making them out of trash cans and shit. That's going to be a big deal in Japan, and they'll put up with any technology. And supposedly, the real dolls, they sell a lot of them in Japan. But the thing of it is like 50 years from now, say 50 years from now, the technology will be there where artificial intelligence, it will get to a point where there's like this tipping point, and computers will be smarter than humans, and they'll function better or as good as they'll look real. The whole sculptural aspect of the real doll will look so real that maybe a normal guy like myself would be attracted to it. If they looked real good, I might consider it. And it could talk and was warm. But those real dolls, that's a fucking mannequin. What kind of freak would want to do it? Hey, listen, if you do mannequins and blow-up dolls, or the AccuJack, if my friend sees this, I'm not saying that you're freaks. Yeah, you're pretty freaky, actually. It's bizarre to me. It's bizarre. Why? Save your money and go get a prostitute. I was going to say that's what I would do. I would never use a prostitute. I've never had sex with a prostitute. Well, I was in the Navy maybe once or twice, but that was, I was 18 years old or something. For me to do that now, why? You know, that I'm cheap. I can't see spending that money. You know, first of all, if I was going to do a prostitute, let's talk about this. If I was going to do a prostitute, she'd have to be a real nice looking one. I wouldn't do like $100 hooker. There's no fucking way. Oh, I have another story about a friend of mine. He was, God, should I tell this? Yeah, what the fuck. So this is a guy that was living with me for a while, having some issues. His old lady kicked him out of the house, so I was letting him stay at my place. And he had this, you know, taste for prostitutes. Like, I remember one time he was calling me on the phone. He was drunk, he's hammered, and asking me for the number of a prostitute. Like, look in the back of a Village Voice or those magazines. There was a bunch of, you know, in those newspapers, there's a bunch of numbers that you could call for escorts and stuff. Now you don't need that because there's the internet. If I was going to look for a prostitute, it'd be on the internet. But anyway, so one time he called me, and I was very close to giving him the number of a tranny, you know. He was hammered. He probably would have done her. But anyway, to make a long story short, he would call up prostitutes. And when he was living with us, I remember it was me, my two roommates. Yeah, I think it was my two roommates, two female roommates. And he called a prostitute, and she came over, and it was an Asian chick, real nice looking. She was, and Asian chicks are hot. And I don't care what you say. If you say that's racist, whatever, it's racist in a good way. I think Asian chicks are hot. I think they're smoking hot. Not all Asian chicks are hot, but boy, when they are, you know. So she came over, and I just remember sitting around the kitchen. I came home. I remember I came home, and somebody said, yeah, he called, you know, his name. Yeah, he's called a prostitute. We're waiting to see what she looks like. So she comes over, right? We're all sitting at the table in the kitchen. That's right when where the door is. She comes in, and we're just checking her out. You know, she didn't care. And they went into the back room or something and did it and came back out like 45 minutes later. You know, she was nice looking. I think he paid, this was probably 11 or 12 years ago. I think that he paid $250. I think that that's what he said was the going rate to get like an attractive girl to come over to your house and do you. Now she was Asian. I think she was Chinese. She's probably in a sex, you know, like somebody was probably outside waiting for her. You know, you better have all the money. Actually, I think he paid with a credit card. But I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get one, spending money on prostitutes. I don't. You know, if I was going to do it, it had to be a $500 one. I got standards. And my standards aren't a real doll. I'm sorry if you're doing real dolls. You seem like a freak to me. Just, you know, get prostitutes instead. $5,000 for one of those things for a mannequin? I got a better idea. Do Tinder. Do Tinder or Bumble. You know, get yourself a girlfriend. Get yourself a human being you can actually communicate to. You know? That might be it. That might be it. Why they want the mannequin is because they want to be controlling and they don't really want a woman that like speaks to them. They have like this fantasy or image in their head of the perfect woman that doesn't talk or something. You know? There's a lot of that. There's a lot of this sort of like shitty behavior of men, like the dude that likes another story. I delivered pizzas in Kansas City, and the guy who owned the pizza place, this guy was a dick, man. He was such an asshole. I couldn't stand this guy. Thought he was a real tough guy. Had a carry permit, you know. Fucking just an asshole. But anyway, he'd always talk about, oh, she's perfect. She's dumb as a rock. And I said something to him because I didn't like him, man. I didn't care if he was my boss, and I didn't give a shit about the job. I said, so you like You like dumb women, huh? And he says, what, you like them smart? Yeah. Yeah, I do. I find smart sexy. You know? What kind of guy would want a dumb girlfriend or wife? Some controlling dick, you know? An idiot that wants another idiot. That's what I guess. I mean, people are fucked up. There's all kinds of like, you know, human beings are freaks. I think human beings are freaks. I look at myself as fairly normal. As, you know, I know you're looking around my place like, yeah, real normal, you know. But I am. I consider myself fairly normal on the spectrum of sexuality, you know. I don't really want to, you know, I don't know. I don't want to talk about my abnormal behaviors sexually because they're not really abnormal. It's just, you know, missionary. Maybe munch on it, get a knobber. I don't really want to wear costumes, I'll tell you that. That's another thing that I find strange. I have a friend who does that too. And he told me one time he bought like the NASCAR like jumpsuit. And I think that maybe he wore like a NASCAR thing, you know, with a hat. And I think that she might have been dressed as a cheerleader. If I had a hot looking girlfriend or wife and came home and she was dressed up like that or something, sure, why not? But that's not anything that's like on my mind, you know? Like, role play isn't like, that just seems like silly to me. I just burst out laughing, I think. Or dirty talk, you know? Like, I don't get that either. See, I told you I'm a real fucking bore. I am. But robots, it's going to be at least, maybe not 50 years before they have a robot that a normal guy would want to do. Maybe not 50 years, maybe 25 years. And the dude that sent me the real doll, you know, the real doll interview, it was like an interview of the guy that makes real dolls. I was saying that it's at least going to be 25 years before they come up with something that's fuckable, right? And he had a good point. He said, not if Elon Musk, you know, got on board and started making a new sex robot. Elon Musk could probably pull it off. He's probably right. You know, this real doll thing, I just think that it's like, for $5,000, you know, their price point, if you're gonna do it, do it. You know, it should, you make one that costs $10 million, that looks real, can talk, and then you bring the price point down, like with wheelchairs that can go downstairs and shit. Like those things were, you know, $250,000. Now they're much cheaper. The same thing like exoskeletons. You know, the price point's coming down, and those were, you know, same thing, $300,000. They're, you know, like I think that they're less than $200,000 now. Or the car that drives, where you don't need to drive it, it just drives for you. You know, those are, I think, about $200,000, and I think they're coming out maybe this coming year, something like that. But the price will come down. If they would make a really hot looking, realistic robot, sex bot, and it looked real and it was warm and it could talk, see, that's the point. They can't do it. This is why they can't make a sex bot that is functioning and will make any money, because they don't have a computer that can really talk back to a human. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it needs to be able to answer questions and ask questions. We don't really have anything like that. That's just how it is. It'll be another 25 years before, you know, fucking a robot's going to be mainstream. It's the truth. At least 25 years. How old will I be? Well, in 26 years, I'll be like 80 or something, or I'm 54. Yeah. I'll be 80. I'll fuck a robot. If I'm 80, what do I got to lose, you know? If it's hot, if they have a hot, okay, I'll make this, I'll put my neck out and say this. If by the time that I'm 80, they have a real hot looking sex robot, I'll fuck the shit out of it. I will. And if they still have YouTube and I have a YouTube channel, I will videotape it and put it on YouTube, knowing that I'm going to die real soon, so it doesn't matter. Well, that would just be one video. So I'll get a community guidelines strike against me. So what? My YouTube channel will still be alive. I'll put it on YouTube. Everybody will love that. Me at like 80? I'll be looking hot. I'll get a sweet looking robot too. I will. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. Maybe blonde. I don't know. Brunette. Asian. An Asian robot? Maybe.